Away.
Okay, great. I thank you so much. And thank you guys for being on time. And I'm going to respect your time and we're going to roll fast and hard. So let's go. When you think about 8 simple steps to sell your business, I'm going to give you this 8 steps. And there's no time like the present to think about it. This is your valuable asset. And we don't take the time to think strategically, whether you've been in the business 6 days, 6 months, or 6 years, or 16 or 26 years. It doesn't matter. Today's the day you start. So Stephanie, let's go to the next slide real quick. So I'm not going to get into all of this, but I've been in real estate for 44 years. And on this next slide, you'll see all the different trainings that I've done, all the products that I put together. I worked for Dave Ramsey for 5 years. I helped build Arch Telecom, 800 Info Home Line. I was VP of Maps for 3 years. And of course, I'm an executive coach and I run the assistant training. No one has trained more assistants than myself or agents in the country. One, because I've been in the business so long, doing it for 44 years. It's going to be tough for anybody to catch up right now, as long as I keep going, right? And I'm passionate about real estate. Let's go to the next slide, Stephanie. And I'm passionate about your asset and the fact that we do not do the best job possible when it comes to that. And so when you think about your asset and you think about the future, this is the time. And you guys have come to this call to learn, which I so appreciate. This call is about your future. It's about how hard you work and what that asset means to you in the future. So the first compelling thing right now for you to see is why. In the understanding the why you're going to build a business to sell. It can be very complex. It's moving on to a new opportunity. So sometimes agents move on to an ROP, RD, into the market center leadership. Sometimes they completely take a step back. And I had an agent who went into full-time photography. It was his love. And so what is it that really gets you excited about the thought of building an asset that's saleable? Are you done and done? So there was a point in my career about 4 or 5 years ago where I said, I'm not going on another listing appointment. I'm not working with another buyer. I just couldn't do it. I knew I might be in prison if I had to do it one more time. There just comes a point after so many years and averaging 175 listings taken a year for year after year after year, I just said I couldn't do it anymore. It's just done. And it's time to have fun, or time for going on adventures with your family, your spouse, your significant other, travel. It's family time. It's health. Maybe it's just a time you want to just take a break and you just don't want to do real estate. You're going to pursue something else. I've had realtors that leave the business to go back to being a school teacher. I've had them go back to college to go to law school because they never had the money or the opportunity to do before, and it was their passion. So when do you want to do it? How many years from now? What would happen if you worked to move that date up? So just for fun, write down a date. Is it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, 20 years from now? And maybe you never step out of real estate. Sometimes that happens too, and I'll give you the plan for that. Are you emotionally ready to leave real estate? It's very hard to leave real estate. Once you're in, you're in. And you know what I mean. Is your family supportive of that goal? Do they understand what you're working toward? And what will you do when it's sold or you've found a new partner? You got to have your next step. You got to have chapter 2 figured out pretty well. And it may be that you just travel. It may be that you're a gardener. It doesn't, no judgment on what it is. Just know what chapter 2 is, right? And then do you have any other income streams? Gary said at family reunion that you should have 2 income streams. And what do you need monthly guaranteed? I had one agent who said she built a 7th level team and she's receiving $100,000 a year. Okay, that was her comfort zone for her. I ran a 7th level team, ran the team, took the listings, and the rainmaker who never stopped in the business for 7 years in a row made $1 million net every year. So that was his number. And so you have to know, what is your number? And obviously, what's the reasonable number for the systems that are built and the marketing and the branding? And we're going to go through that. And so you have to know, what is that nut that you want to cover that month? And where's that going to come from your real estate business? How is that set up? Why is that number important? Do you have other income streams from income properties? Remember, Gary said you need at least 2 income streams. And what is your level of involvement when you step back? We're going to cover that coming up right now. Does the brand change? Does the name change, and why? So we're going to go to the next slide now. And that's step one. You got to know your why, when, and what. Okay. Step two, you have to have a monthly P&L. And a lot of agents don't get around to that so much, but you need to get structured as a business with a monthly P&L. And you've got to follow the model 30-30-40. Go read the MREA book, 40% profit, 30% cost of business, 30% cost of sale. Go understand those numbers. Where are you not in alignment? And wouldn't it be better to strive for 50% profit, which means it's going to be more for you to have as you step back to the side or out? What does it need to look like? What does that P&L need to look like? So what's your future P&L? Now going to step three, you got to have a team of some sort. Now, I have known agents who did not have an assistant that sold their business. And that's fine too, no judgment there. I know agents that have one assistant and sold their business. So you have to know, what do you want your business to look like in the next 5 to 10 years getting ready to sell it, or the next 2 years or 3 years to sell it. I now talk to agents who want to sell their businesses yesterday, but they don't have the infrastructure or the systems in place to do that. So every day matters. So what does your staff look like? How many agents on your team? What is your marketing and branding? What kind of return do you get from that? Do you have your affiliates lined up that make sense, that are the best affiliates possible? And who are your future hires and when? Create a current org chart. Very simple to do. With an Excel document, you can absolutely create an org chart. 3-year, 5-year, 10-year. Just have fun with it. Sit and think about it on a Saturday afternoon. Maybe you sit out by your pool or whatever your kids are playing, and you just say, what does the next 5 years look like? Just have fun with it. Experience the feeling of moving forward with a valuable asset. Got to pay attention to that asset. Step 4 will be about the database. I'm going to give you a couple of tips, and I talk about them all the time and nobody ever does them. But hopefully you're going to get that out of today's call, because I'm coming from my heart going, you have an asset. But if you don't pay attention starting today, whether you're going to sell it 25 years or 2.5 years, you need to pay attention right now. How many in your database are completes? Name, address, phone number, and email. A lot of people, agents, do not know the number in their database. And that is your only asset. We track appointments, we track listings, we track sales. You need to track how your business is growing. At what level is your database growing? That is your main asset. Of course, all the systems and the people are part of it, but this is where it really matters. Can you identify your top 100 clients, and why are they your top 100 clients? Look at that next one. Create a field with a dollar sign. So as you're talking to your clients, you're going to say to yourself, okay, I've sold this guy 2 houses, or I've sold this family 3 houses, 2 referrals. My average commission is 10,000. So I've made about 40,000 off of this guy. So if you don't know, you estimate reasonable estimates, right? And all of a sudden you're going to put value to each client. Every closing moving forward, create a field in Command or whatever CRM you're using with a dollar sign that tells you how valuable that client is. I've been talking about this since computers came out 30-something years ago, and nobody hardly does it. I did it in my database, and it was extremely valuable when I moved from one partnership to another. Birthdays and home anniversaries, critical that you put those in there. E-cards are so easy to send on a birthday. And what's your growth plan? Is your team supporting the growth plan? You know, I've talked to assistants that have 800 phone numbers in their iPhone. They have over 2,000 people in their Facebook, and yet we don't tap into that database as heavy as we should, especially with buyer agents too. What is your marketing plan for your database? You got to feed it every day, and you got to nurture it, and you got to be working that database all the time. What are your smart plans? Have you put any of those together? How many do you have of those? What's your goal? Do you send out a monthly video? Do you send out a monthly email? Are you doing 36 touch or 72 touch? How many, people in your database respond to client appreciation parties? How many referrals are you getting from that? Everything's entwined into that database. In your referrals, there's 5 sources of referrals: team referral, vendor, past clients, sphere of influence, and agent. You should divide those referrals out, knowing each category of referrals. What if you found out you got 0 from your past clients and center of influence? You got 1 from your team, you got 2 from your vendor, and you got 5 or 6 agent referrals. There's some gaps there. So what's the goal there? And what does the goal look like, 3, 5, 10 years from now when you sell your business? Step 5, systems and playbooks. This is where it comes into play really hard and strong. You have to be able to let someone look at your playbooks, look at your systems. When you say, and when you're hiring someone, these are critical too, but you have a hiring process, you have a lead generation process. One that's missing on here is you have a buyer process. I didn't put all the playbooks on here, but there's plenty that you could add to this. So create a list of all the playbook systems that you have and where they need to go. What are some of the things you need to tweak up so that you can show substantially, if you're going to sell your business in 5 years, every year you have X amount of growth. And these are the systems and playbooks that you have. This is your book of business. This is your roadmap to success. And it's critical to do these things. So in the assistant training that I do starting next week is for agents. 1 week, the first call of every month, and the next 2 calls each month. They're all an hour long. They're live with me. You get playbooks. You get absolute systems on listing, on lead generation. I go through probate. I go through out of area owner. I go through expires. I go through FSBO. I give you the systems. They're plug and play. They're absolutely plug and play. Now, the accountability. So for example, I teach that every Friday, your assistant should give you and your buyer agents, ISAs, whatever your team looks like, the Friday report. And on there's 5 things I did to move the business forward. Week high, week low, and what did I do to wow a customer? Can you imagine as a rainmaker that when you're getting ready to find that partner for your business and sell it, that you've got an example of how you have accountability for your team, how you communicate? I mean, all of these things, and there's plenty of systems that are missing there. Like there's a buyer system, pre-list, there's an ISA system. Any of those are absolutely critical. And so whatever you have now is your benchmark. And that's where you grow when you start it. So the systems are so critical. The training for those systems, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I've got the listing system, the pending, the lead generation, the communication, job descriptions, 30 to 60, 90s. I've got how to build a repeat referral business. I've got all of that in the training that's coming up. And yet this is very, very important that you start somewhere. Okay, if you go to step 6, you're going to see 5 sources of business. And on the 5 sources of business, you have to identify at least 5 sources of business. What are your 5 main? You may have 15, you may have 20 sources of business, but it's about the 5 that bring you the most business. What is the percentage? What is the financial commitment? How much are you paying for each lead? How do you continue to show growth year over year as far as if one of your sources of business is past clients? How are you showing growth? If one of your sources of business is for sale by owners, how are you showing growth? What is your system for that? How do you continue to show that growth? Remember, we're packaging up an asset. And so don't be daunted by these steps, because the bottom line is each step is integral to the value of your business. And you start today, and I'll give you the system for starting today and how you do all this. You track every appointment for source of business. That is a critical piece that so many people forget about. As a coach, the first thing I talk about is how many appointments did you go on this week? The appointments show me that the activities were done. Where did those appointments come from? Did they come from door knocking? Did they come from a video? Did they come from an email? Where are people responding to you? What's making the phone ring? What's making them go to your website and request information? So you've got to track the sources of appointments. And you track every closing, of course, for the source and where every single closing happened. This is one of the basic things besides database that you have to show where your business comes from. And so today is the day you start. And of course, here's just 5 examples here: past clients, center of influence, expired FSBO, and maybe you do probates. Maybe you do out of area owner. Maybe you do open house. Maybe you do door knocking. Whatever it happens to be, that is your source of business. You need 5. You need 5. You just can't have one and be a door knocker. You just can't have one and say, I call just listed, just sold, which is another source of business. All right, so let's go to step 7. This is where I'm going to spend just a few minutes here. And again, we will end on time. Okay, on step 7, this one on the next slide is the exit strategy. So I wrote a program for Dave Ramsey on the exit strategy for agents through his ELP program, Endorsed Local Provider, if you're familiar with that. And there's 3 steps to selling your business. One step is, and you can do these in steps, or you can just go right to selling out. So step 1 is I do a few deals, maybe 10 or 12 a year max, no more than that, less than 12. And yet you are still involved in the business as far as the marketing, the branding. You're still visible, but invisible. You have these special people and clients and your sister and your brother and your best friend who have to work only with you, right? They're only going to work with you. And then there's also another step, that step to the side, meaning you're in and out, but you're still in control of the branding, the marketing, and everything, but you're still in and out. Okay. Now, there's lots of different, depending on the level of business you have and the asset of your business, you're saying to yourself, well, where am I getting paid? You can be paid gradually at, 25% referral fee, or it can be higher based on how you're leaving the business and based on what the production is. So there's lots of combinations. The bottom line on this call today is really getting you to think about what you need as far as income, and then you work backwards. So next, step to the back is you're reviewing the P&L and partner agreements on expenditures, hiring, marketing, et cetera, but you aren't really selling real estate. You're still there. So when I was involved with the 7th level team for 7 years, where the gentleman netted $1 million every year, he reviewed the P&L once a month. When it came to big expenditures, he was absolutely involved. Hiring, he had to prove those. So he was involved, but he was not selling at any way, shape, or form. Any way, shape, or form. And then the other one is you just sell out. And I don't think, there's a couple of agents that I know have sold their business, and, I'll throw out a figure. In today's market, it doesn't sound a lot, but they got paid $300,000 in a referral fee for the next 5 years. And then the next 3 years after that was 10%, and then they were out. So there's lots of combinations of those. It just depends on the volume of your business and what your branding is and what you're going to do to participate to keep that branding going. So for example, it might be that you're going to agree to go to all the client appreciation parties. You're going to send out emails that say that looks like it's directly from you. And so that is critical. Now, who's the perfect buyer in the partnership? The number one thing that you have to think about, and I have seen this mistake over and over and over again, is this a cultural fit for you, your team, and your clients? When you don't have a cultural fit for your team, it implodes when you leave, or even step to the side, it will implode. If you do not have a cultural fit for your clients, they leave. Things aren't done the way they're used to being done. Don't have the same client appreciation parties, not recognized on my birthday. Whatever that is, all of these things are culture. How a listing is taken, how a listing is handled, how a pending is handled, how a buyer is handled. This is all part of culture. The systems are part of the culture. The culture is in the first wheel, and then everything else is around the culture. So who on your team could be on the bench for that opportunity? And they work for that opportunity. They earn that opportunity. They bring business. They're not little birdies waiting to be fed, and they come to you with ideas and suggestions. They come to you with production and what they're doing. Why just have one potential partner that you're thinking about? So as you're thinking about what's going on right now in your head, and you look at all these steps, I want you to think about a couple of things. Who are possibly 5 people or teams that might be interested in your business? And again, when you look at the strategies again, You got to know your why, when and what you want to get. You got to have your P&L in shape so that you got at least a 40% or more profit. You have to have the right team in place, or you don't have to have the team in place. Yet you really, really need to think about who are your affiliates and why is your team saleable, or why are you saleable with your one assistant? And then you got to look at your database. And that's the critical piece that every business owner who buys a business is looking at. Who are the clients? Who's the database? And looking at step 4, then putting in those dollar signs of the value. And then when you look at step 5, this is where I come into play. Hopefully you see the value of coming to the Perfect Real Estate Assistant call as a leader, rainmaker. The first call is for you every month. You end up with a 450-page policy and procedures manual. I give you the basic, huge foundation of where your business should look like. And when you show this to a prospective partner owner, they will be blown away of your book of business. And obviously knowing your sources of business is number 6. Now, let's go to the next. This is how you get started. This is step 8. So in review of all of that, here's where it's important to step 8. So I want you from this call right now is to write down a date, and it could be a moving target. I mean, I keep moving my target. I've been in real estate 44 years. I've trained more agents and assistants in the country. I've built more systems and playbooks than anyone in the country, from what I can tell. And I really want you to hear this loud and clear. My date keeps moving all the time. I thought I'd be retired by now, but no, I'm enjoying it. I have fun, and I have certain selective days that I do things, and this is great. So what does that look like? What does that date look like? And then work backwards. It's the who, what, when. Who's on your org chart? How profitable is your business? What's your future schedule look like? Now that's a key thing there. And I haven't mentioned much about that. You got to know what you want to do. You got to be passionate about the next chapter. You got to be looking forward to that. And so looking at that second chapter, what is that going to be? It might be travel and just fun, and that's okay too. But what does that look like? Now, if you look at number 3, you spend 1 hour a week building your exit strategy. So some of you are thinking, gosh, I never even thought like that. I never thought about that. I work on my business, in my business, whatever, 1 hour a week, building the systems or perfecting things, but build that with the thought process. How valuable is this, what we're doing? How valuable is my pre-list package? Where can we make the changes there? How valuable is my buyer system, my buyer strategies? What can I do there? And so it goes in your schedule, and you improve something every day. And so when I look at that, I think to myself, what am I going to improve today? Where am I going to excel? Where can I make one little tweak to something, or one little review of something? Now, you might not make a change, but you made a review. So where is that in your schedule, 1 hour a week? So I've always said Fridays is a good day to have 1 hour where you spend time visiting your money, checking your bank accounts, looking at your progress, whether it's your IRA, your SEP account, whatever, rental properties, and it might not take an hour. Then the next one is you go work on your business. You go work on your exit strategy. You get really, really clear what that looks like. So then you start to create now a list of what are the items that you need to clean up. Like I said, is it a buyer package? Is it a pre-list package? Is your listing system, closing system, hiring, referral system, referral business, database? I mean, the list goes on. Accountability, communication, client appreciation parties. Where do you need to clean this up and make playbooks and systems? Now, training, invest in your team, invest to build systems. Of course, I'm going to absolutely recommend the Perfect Real Estate Assistant on the next page. Please, Stephanie. On the next page is where you're going to see that Gary Keller said at MegaCamp, if you take any group training, you and your assistant take this one first. If you take any group training, Gary Keller said, take this one first. And so what I have done over the years, and I've trained on this program, we change the material all the time. So if you've been in one before, it's time to come back. We change the material for market of the moment. And so there is a code, Web100, to receive $100 off. It starts next Wednesday. And I believe the time is at 12:30 Central. The first call of the month is for you. So the first call of this month, so meaning the 15th will be your call. Then your assistant has a call the 22nd and the 29th. All the calls are recorded. All the calls are recorded, but they're live. And there's homework assignments, and I give you a detailed description of what your assistant's going to learn, what to help him or her be accountable for during that. You will get over 450 pages of a policy and procedures manual. I do Q&A, I answer questions, and I also pick on people and say, what did you learn today? What did you hear today that's going to make a difference? So if you have some questions, I think you put them in the chat box, and let me see here real quick if I can find them. How do you keep your cost of sale at 30% as you grow the team and step to the side? Oh, Cheryl, you sound like you need a coach there. You know, cost of sale, you have to make sure you've got all the right categories. What we find out is sometimes cost of sale and cost of business, the numbers are meshed in there. And so cost of sale is also about, you know, as the team grows, what your splits are. Paying someone a 65 or 70% split, no, you'll never get there. But if you follow the models and you look at the splits and you have standards for how many deals a certain person's going to bring, you absolutely can hit in that 30%. We did it, and we did over 200 transactions a year. And I had 3 buyer agents and we had 4 assistants. And our assistants were paid a great salary, the standard salary, and then they were paid a bonus on every closing. The assistant, we follow the model on the ISA, $2,000 a month and 10% at closing. And if it was a buyer, that 10% came off of what the buyer agent received. So it's about setting the correct, what I like to say, shared commissions. I try to ignore the word splits anymore, shared commissions. Okay, hopefully that helps, but it's done. I did it, you can do it. And so the next launch is next week. And I think that's all the questions that were in the chat box that I see. Stephanie, was there anything else?
Yeah, there's a couple more, Monica. So one Scott asked, he's in some talks with some other people about merging his business, and he needs some verbiage about whether Keller Williams will allow them to sell that business. The other agent says no.
Well, okay, so I'm not a legal person. If you're going to merge your business, you're not selling it. I mean, you're merging it. If it's Keller Williams office, that's fine. If it's not Keller Williams, then, you know, that's a whole nother subject. No one's going to prevent you from doing anything, you know, that's within the guidelines. Can you take them, you know, so it's very complicated for me to answer that question because I don't know enough about what you're doing. So if it's Keller Williams, you can merge and you can sell your business. If it's outside of Keller Williams, then I'm not giving you this advice, but I think you would have to pull out of Keller Williams to do that. You'd have to definitely say, I'm out. So is that something you want to do? And so, you know, talk to your broker about it. That's the first place to go in your market center, and they will give you the best advice. One here says, I have an office manager, an ISA, and listing and closing. Who should be on the call? Everyone, because that's a great question, Connie. If you're a brand new agent, you should be on every call because you are the assistant if you don't have one. And I have about 25–30% of the call is agents. When you have a team like that, isn't it great? Because the first call I start out with communication. The second call then is on job descriptions for all those departments in the 30, 60, 90. And isn't it great when an ISA can hear what a listing manager does or a closing transaction person does, the TC? Isn't it great that they all hear about the goals? Isn't it great that they all hear about lead generation? So you can put all of them on the call for one price, okay? So that if you look at the screen here, oh, Stephanie, we didn't even put that on there. The cost of the classes are $199 a month. And it's for 6 months, and there's 18 calls. They're 1 hour long. And then when the class is over, there's 2 months of free. You can go back and listen to the calls. You can go back and get the materials. So we send you 40 to 50 pages of materials every single week that need to be downloaded. And I love print, you know, plant a tree, kill one. I love to put it in a notebook, but you can also, you know, save it on your drive, which is fine. Yes, it's 3 classes a month, Dan. They're 1 hour. The first class is for agent. The second and the third class are for assistants. And so as you're looking at your business, the first step is to invest in building those systems. I'm going to get you right out of the learning curve. In 6 months, you will have everything you need to really put your playbooks together on each one of the categories. And there's a lot more that I'm going to share. I mean, I'll give you a probate system. I give you an out of area system, owner, absentee owner, give you FSBOs, expires, past clients. We go through social media. So everything is covered. The key thing that I want you to hear is that you start today to think about the asset of your business. It's great to go out and sell a house and sell a buyer. And they love you and you have a great little client appreciation party. How do you get 30% referrals out of that client appreciation party? I have the formula for that. And I have agents who do it every single time. If they have 100 people show up, they get 30 referrals. So the whole systems are there. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to tear your hair out saying, wonder if this works, wonder if that doesn't. I only give you things that I've done, or I know agents who have done them over the years of coaching and coaching and coaching. And I've perfected those systems so you get proven success systems to grow your business. So it's critical that you look at what I think is most important thing right now is assessing your business right now. How is your database? How are your sources of business? How are your systems? If I came in to buy it next week, give you a check for your business, how much is it worth? And is it worth spending the next 6 months, 3 hours a month, and really fine tuning all your systems? The cost of this program has never changed in the last 30 years that I've been doing this class. The material changes every single time we launch out, but the price has never changed. And so when you're making that investment, it's laying the foundation to sell your business, whether it's 3 years or 13 or 23 from now. You want to build that asset. So Steph, we can take that screen down now. All right. So from the bottom of my heart, you guys saw all that information. I look forward to having you on the calls. I run the calls. I'm the only person on the call. Of course, Stephanie's worked with me for 13 years, but I will do the calls. They're live. And the key thing is I really support the assistants. They know that I'm in their corner. And when you make a financial investment in your business, but also in your assistant, you create a whole different bond. And I teach you how to be a great boss. I teach you how to be a great leader. So you are not losing great people to anyone else. The slides from today, yes, you can have those. You can email me direct at monica@kw.com. Or you can go back and listen to the recording and take pictures of the slides. You've got the foundations, and I'd love to see you on the class coming up next Wednesday. We also have another class Wednesday or next Tuesday that's free. What's the one I'm doing next Tuesday, Stephanie? What's the name of it?
Next Tuesday is called 7 Steps to Building a Duplicatable and Scalable Business with Playbooks and Systems. Okay. It's at 12:30 Central Time, so same as today.
Same as today. We'll do it again next week on a whole different subject, and then please consider signing up. I'd love to have you on the calls. Thanks, everybody. No, the link will be different, I believe. Correct, Stephanie? That's a different link from Maps. It'll be coming from Maps. So we'll get you the link. So we'll send it out, and then you guys sign up. So thanks, everyone. Have an awesome, awesome week. I'd love to see you on the calls. And remember, you got a valuable asset. Pay attention today. What date are you wanting to retire? It's okay to move it, but just have a thought process on it. And what do you need to do to make that happen? See you on the calls. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Bye-bye. Thanks, Steph.
Bye, everybody.